The frozen shore. The sensory apocalypse.
History often shows Vikings as giant heroes with clean hair and shiny armor. In the simulation, the reality is much colder and much more brutal. If you open your eyes on the coast of Norway in the year 793 AD, your first feeling is not glory. It is the bite. The air is like a knife. It is not just cold, it is wet. The North Sea wind carries a heavy salt spray that freezes on your skin. Your 21st century clothes, your cotton shirt or your synthetic jacket, are worthless here. They trap the moisture and pull the heat out of your body. Within minutes, you are shivering uncontrollably. This is the first test of Project Viking. Can you survive the temperature before you even meet a human? The smell is the next shock. It is the smell of old fish, pine needles, wet dog, and open fires. In the Viking Age, there is no escape from the smoke. Every house is a long, dark tunnel filled with the thick, gray smoke of a peat fire. It stings your eyes and burns your throat. To the sleeper, this world feels like it is constantly on fire, but without the warmth.
The biological shock. The raw diet.
Your modern body is built on processed food and clean water. In Scandinavia, you are entering a world of extreme biology. The diet is heavy. You're eating dried cod that is as hard as wood. You're drinking sour milk and heavy, dark ale. The biggest danger is not a sword. It is the parasite. In this era, people live very close to their animals. Sheep and goats often sleep in the same longhouse as the family. The water is often filled with tiny worms and bacteria that your modern stomach has never seen. If you drink from the wrong stream, you will spend your first week in the bushes, dying of dehydration. In the Viking Age, a man who is too weak to stand is a man who is not worth feeding. You must learn to drink only boiled liquids or the small ale that the children drink. You are a man of the future, but your survival depends on how well you can digest raw, salted horse meat and dirty grain.
The social trap. Thrall or Jarl.
You walk toward a settlement. You see the long houses, giant wooden buildings that look like upside-down boats. A man walks toward you. He is not wearing a helmet with horns. That is a myth. He is wearing a simple wool tunic and carrying a heavy iron axe. He looks at your clean skin and your strange shoes. In Viking society, you are one of three things. A thrall, slave you have no rights. You are property to a carl. Freeman you own land and you can fight. That a jarl, noble you lead the raids. As a sleeper, you arrive as a nobody. In Scandinavia, if you do not belong to a family, you are nothing. You are a lawless man. Anyone can kill you, and no one will be punished. To survive the first hour, you must find a master. You must show that you have a skill. You cannot speak Old Norse yet, but you can show them your hands. You show them that you understand metal. You find a village blacksmith. You see him struggling with a soft iron knife. You take a piece of wood and draw the shape of a bellows that uses two chambers for constant air. This is basic physics to you. To him, it is a way to make the fire hotter than ever before. You have just bought your life. You are now a specialist. You are not a slave, but you are not yet a Viking. You are an asset of the village.
The religion of blood. The gods in the trees.
The biggest psychological shock of Project Viking is the absence of mercy. In the 21st century, we value kindness and equality. In 793 AD, those are signs of weakness. The Vikings do not believe in a god who loves everyone. They believe in Odin, Thor, and Freya. These are gods of war, storms, and fertility. You watch a blot, a ritual sacrifice. They kill a horse and spread the blood on the walls of the temple. They believe this keeps the sun rising and the crops growing. As a modern human, your instinct is to look away. But in the simulation, you must watch. You must show that you are not afraid of blood. If you act like a modern pacifist, the Vikings will think you are a man without honor. In this world, honor is your only currency. If someone insults you, you must fight. If someone hits you, you must hit back. You are a historian, but to survive the North Sea, you must find the ancient animal inside your soul and let it out.
The longship. The ultimate technology.
You are taken to the shore. You see the longship. This is the greatest machine of the 8th century. It is flexible, fast, and can sail in water that is only 1 meter deep. It is a masterpiece of engineering, but you see its weakness. They navigate by the stars and by watching the birds. They do not have a way to find their direction on a cloudy day. This is where the sleeper becomes a legend. You find a piece of Iceland spar, a clear crystal. You show the captain how it can find the sun even when the sky is full of clouds. You have just given them the sunstone. You also show them a simple shadow stick to track their latitude. By giving them the tools of navigation, you have changed the simulation. You are no longer just a blacksmith's assistant. You are now a seer. You are the man who can find the golden lands, England and France. Even in the middle of a storm, they give you a place on the boat. You are given a shield. You are given a name, Sleeper the Farseer.
The raid on the west. Tactical superiority.
The year is now 793 AD. The sea is high, and the air is gray. You are standing on a longship named the Sea Raven. In your time, you looked at the ocean and saw a vacation. Here, the ocean is a cold, hungry monster that wants to eat you. But you are not a passenger. You are a member of the crew. The Vikings are planning to attack a monastery in a place called Lindisfarne in England. To them, this is a gamble. They hope there is gold, but they don't know for sure. You, the sleeper, know exactly what is there. You know that the monks have gold crosses, silver plates, and beautiful books. As the ship moves closer to the English coast, you introduce the signaling protocol. Usually, Vikings just shout and run. You show the captain how to use small, colored flags and basic light reflections with a polished shield to talk to the other ships. You teach them how to encircle the target. When you land on the beach, the chaos starts. The sound is terrifying. It is the sound of heavy iron hitting wood and the screams of men who have never seen a Viking. But you do not act like a barbarian. You act like a logistics officer. You show them how to secure the perimeter. You show them how to take the valuables, the monks who can read and write, as prisoners, instead of just killing everyone. The Vikings see that your calculated war is much more profitable than their berserker rage. You have brought 21st century efficiency to an 8th century robbery. You have become the brain of the raid. You return to Norway with more gold than any other ship. You are no longer a guest. You are a partner in the blood business of the North.
The hunger of the North. Surviving the dark winter.
Victory is sweet, but the winter is long. In Scandinavia, The sun disappears for months. This is the second biological test. In the 21st century, you have supermarkets, you have refrigerators, you have food from all over the world. In the year 793 AD, if your grain gets wet or your fish rots, you die. You watch the village prepare for winter. They are smoking fish and salting meat, but their methods are old. They lose 30% of their food to mold and rot. This is where your modern biology knowledge becomes a magic spell. You show them the secret of nitrate and salt ratios. You show them how to build a root cellar, a deep hole in the ground where the temperature stays constant. You show them how to create a primitive pickling system using vinegar and specific forest herbs. Most importantly, you introduce vitamin C consciousness. In the Viking Age, many people get scurvy. Their teeth fall out and their skin breaks because they don't eat enough fresh greens in winter. You know that pine needles and certain berries contain the medicine they need. You make the warriors drink pine tea. They hate the taste, but they notice they stay strong while the other villages get weak. You have changed the winter from a season of death to a season of strength. You are the keeper of the life food. But this power makes you a target. The local priest of Odin is jealous. He says your tea and your dugout holes are an insult to the gods. He says that if the people do not suffer, Odin will be angry. You are learning that in the past, even helping can be a crime.
The Thing. The battle of words and law.
In the spring, the village goes to the Thing. This is the Viking assembly. It is a large meeting in an open field where they decide the laws and judge the criminals. In the 21st century, we have lawyers and judges. In the Viking Age, you have your voice and your family. You're accused of the dishonor by the Odin priest. He says you're using black magic to stay alive. In Scandinavia, if you are found guilty at the Thing, you could be declared an outlaw. This means anyone can kill you, and you lose everything. This is your greatest psychological challenge. You stand before the jarls and the freemen. You do not use modern science to defend yourself. You use logic and oratory. You speak about the gift of Enki, remembering your Sumerian protocol, or the knowledge of the stars. You use the eyewitness technique. You ask the warriors, who was stronger during the raid? Who stayed healthy during the deep snow? You use the evidence of their own eyes. You prove that your knowledge is actually a gift to the village. The jarls listen. They value strength and results more than the words of a jealous priest. You are not only saved, you are given the title of law speaker. You have used your modern education to master the first democratic assembly in Europe. You have turned the death sentence into a political victory.
The Iron Upgrade. Beyond the Bronze Age.
You return to the blacksmith's forge. You have the power now, but you need better tools. Viking iron is soft iron. It is full of impurities. Their swords bend in battle. They have to stop and straighten their blades with their feet. You know about carbon. You know that if you add a small amount of carbon to the iron, it becomes steel. But how do you do this without a modern factory? You show the blacksmith how to pack harden the iron. You use bones and charcoal. You tell him to heat the iron for hours inside a sealed container of animal bones. To him, the spirit of the animal is entering the sword. To you, the carbon from the bones is changing the molecular structure of the metal. The result is the Ulfbert-level blade. It is a sword that is lighter, sharper, and stronger than anything in the north. By introducing basic metallurgy, You have given your village the nuclear weapon of the 8th century. Now, every king in Scandinavia wants to meet the sleeper who speaks to the metal.
The loneliness of the farseer.
But even with the gold, the power, and the best sword in the world, you are fading. You sit on the cliffs of Norway and look at the sea. You realize that you have made the Vikings too powerful. You have given them better ships, better food, and better steel. In your time, the Vikings were a small part of history. In this new timeline, they might take over the whole world. You feel the butterfly effect pressing down on you. If the Vikings conquer all of Europe in the year 800 AD, the Renaissance might never happen. The Industrial Revolution might never happen. You might be deleting your own future. You start to feel like a ghost again. You are surrounded by people who love you, but they don't know who you really are. They think you are a god or a wizard. You just want to talk about a movie or eat a pizza or listen to music that isn't just a drum and a wooden flute. The sleeper's isolation is the hardest part of the simulation. You are a giant in a world of children, and the giant is very, very tired.
The medicine of the gods. The immortal army.
You are now a legend in the north. They call you Sleep of the Wise, and the Jarls listen to your every word. But your greatest power is not your steel or your maps. It is your knowledge of life. In the 21st century, you take a pill for a headache. In 793 AD, a headache is a demon, and an infected wound is a death sentence. After every raid, the warriors come back broken. They have deep cuts from axes and stabs from spears. The Viking way is to put a magic paste of onions and herbs on the wound. If it smells like onions after a day, they say the person will die. You know this is primitive, and you know you can do better. You show the women of the village how to use honey. You tell them to put raw honey on every cut. To them, honey is a gift from the bees of Freya. To you, honey is a natural antibiotic that keeps the bacteria away. You show them how to boil the bandages. You show them how to use willow bark, which contains ingredients of modern aspirin, to stop the pain and the fever. Suddenly, your warriors are not dying from infections. They heal faster. They fight harder because they are not afraid of a small cut. You have created what the world calls an immortal army. But you see the cost. Because they do not die, they become more violent. They think they are literally chosen by Odin. Your modern medicine has turned a group of human beings into a force of nature that cannot be stopped. You feel the guilt of the sleeper once more. You want to save lives, but you have only created more efficient killers.
The horizon's call. The voyage to the new world.
The year is now 800 AD. The local lands are getting crowded. There is not enough food for everyone. The Vikings are looking to the west again. They have heard your stories of a giant land across the deep ocean, a place with green forests, wild grapes, and endless rivers. They want to find Vinland. In the 21st century, you know this land as North America. You know that in the original history, the Vikings found it but could not stay. They fought with the local people, and they left. But you are here now. You have the sleeper's map in your head. You lead a fleet of 5 longships. You are not looking for gold this time. You are looking for a new start. You use your sunstone and your shadow stick to keep the ships on a straight line across the Atlantic. The voyage is terrifying. The waves are as tall as mountains. The men are scared. They think they are sailing into the mouth of the Midgard serpent. but you stand at the front of the ship. You tell them about the Golden Coast. And then one morning, the fog lifts. You see it, a massive green forest reaching into the sky. You have reached the Americas nearly 700 years before Columbus.
The colony of the future. Building Vinland.
You land on the shores of what will one day be Newfoundland. The Vikings are amazed. There is so much wood, so much fish, and the soil is rich and black. But you don't let them just build mud huts. You use your modern architecture knowledge. You show them how to build houses with proper chimneys, so the smoke does not kill their lungs. You show them how to build a water mill to grind their grain. You show them basic crop rotation, so the soil stays healthy. You are building a medieval city with the logic of a modern engineer. Most importantly, you manage the first meeting with the indigenous people, the Skrælings, as the Vikings call them. Usually, the Vikings would attack, but you step forward. You use your standardized trade protocol from Sumer. You offer them steel knives and colorful wool in exchange for their knowledge of the local plants. By choosing peace over war, you have changed the entire history of the world. The colony of Vinland does not fail. It grows. It becomes a bridge between two worlds. You are watching a new civilization being born, a mix of Viking strength and modern logic. But you realize that by doing this, you have deleted the United States, Canada, and the Europe you once knew. You have created a completely different future. You are the father of a world that no one in your 21st century will ever recognize.
The final sacrifice. The Sleeper's Saga.
You are an old man now. You are a grandfather of Vinland. You sit in a large wooden hall, listening to the sound of the Atlantic waves. The people around you speak a language that is a mix of Old Norse and the local tongues. They are healthy, they are rich, and they are safe. But the simulation is calling you back. You feel the digital hum in your ears again. You know that your displacement is over. You have a choice. Do you stay and die as a king in this new world? Or do you return to the 21st century to see what you have done? You decide to leave a final saga. You go to a large stone cliff near the ocean. You take a hammer and a chisel. You do not write in runes. You write in a language you hope the future will understand. You write about the sleeper protocol. You write about the stars, the medicine, and the bridge between worlds. You write, history is not a line. It is a choice. I was a man of the future, and I chose to give the past a chance. You organize a final blot, but it is not a sacrifice of blood. It is a sacrifice of technology. You take your rusted 21st century watch, your remaining modern tools, and you bury them deep in the earth under the center of the town. You tell the people, these are the bones of the old world. Let them stay silent so the new world can grow. As the sun sets, you walk toward the water. The air is cold, but you don't shiver anymore. You have become the north. You have become the sea. You are no longer Sleeper the historian. You are the ancestor of a world that was never supposed to exist.
The final awakening. Back to the blue light.
The simulation breaks. The green forests of Vinland turn into pixels. The sound of the wind turns into the hum of a computer fan. You open your eyes. You are sitting in your chair in the year 2026. Your room is the same. Your phone is buzzing with notifications. The world is fast, loud, and digital, but you feel different. You look at your hands. They look clean and soft, but you can still feel the weight of the axe. You can still smell the salt spray of the North Sea. You go to your computer. You look for the history of the Vikings. You look for Vinland. You see that the books have changed. They now talk about a great empire of the West that started in the year 800 AD. They talk about a mysterious sage who brought science and peace to the New World. You realize that Project Viking was not just a simulation. It was a rewrite. You didn't just study history. You fixed it. But as you look out your window at the modern city, you miss the cold. You miss the long ships. You miss the raw honesty of a world where honor was more important than data. The sleeper is awake, but a part of you will always be sailing west, looking for the horizon that never ends.
Summary of the Project Viking experience.
The arrival. You survived the freezing cold and the biological shock of 8th century Norway. The rise. You used metallurgy and navigation to become a seer and a law speaker. The Empire. You transformed the Viking raids into a tactical operation and used medicine to create an immortal army. The Discovery. You led the Vikings to a permanent and peaceful settlement in the Americas, changing the timeline forever. The Legacy. You left a secret archive and buried your modern identity, choosing to let the past become a better future.